All right, I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's Board of Education meeting on December 16, 2025. The time now is 6:30. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Rudy, I move that we enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing a personnel matter.
Do I have a second? Mr. Ponicello, all in favor? 6 in favor.
6 in favor, motion passed.
I'd like to make a motion to reconvene the general session.
Do I have a second? Mr. Garcia, all in favor? Seven in favor.
7 in favor, motion passed.
Everyone, please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everyone here tonight to our board meeting. I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Muscarello for superintendent's comments.
Thank you and welcome to our December meeting. I can hardly believe that it's December already, and it's been quite a month, right? So I want to give you a few updates on capital improvement projects. First, our security system. We continue to roll out additional features with our new security system. We have successfully completed multiple lockdowns in all of our buildings with the new system. The next phase of the plan will be to roll out the panic button badges that we have for all the staff, and that will be happening after our break sometime. The equipment for that next phase of the plan is all on track. Anything that was left that we needed to get will be in. It's all functional. There's just extra pieces that that were in the plan. So by April, all the classrooms and offices district-wide will be in unity with that. Our libraries are promised to be ready for after the break. In the elementary buildings, their carpeting is down, they're painted, the ceilings are up, much of the lighting is in, and a lot of the furniture is being delivered. Hopefully they're in there. They should be there shortly after, as I said, when we get back. The playgrounds have been completed as well, and the turf field at the middle school is just about finished, and Mother Nature has a different plans with the snow so early in December, so that's a little hold until that gets melted, and I understand it's going to get warmer in a couple of days. December's been a really busy and very spirited month across Plain Edge, and we had outstanding student performances and meaningful community events. It's been a season of celebration, connection, collaboration with our families and community partners. Today I was at East Plain where Mr. Sievertson, who was actually my first hire in Plain Edge, I want to shout that out. And anyway, so he went with his high school band, and it was so great to see. I saw so many of my old students there who are now playing in the band, and I remember, I kind of tried to let them remember what it was like to see those high school students when they came in and they were so in awe, and now they're just as talented and they're providing that beautiful music to the kindergarten through 5th grade there. Had a lot of fun activities. Our annual Season of Light celebration was a joyful way to kick off the season, and we thanked everybody for coming out on that windy, cold night. But it was great. We had the 6th through 12th grade chorus members filling in cheer, and the Best Buddies as well. The Best Buddies Club singing a beautiful festive sing-along. Grateful for the Plain Edge Federation of Teachers and their donations, as well as Broadway Gourmet, for providing hot chocolate, snacks, and holiday-themed toys that brought smiles to so many faces. Mr. Ray Moore and the Brian Moore Foundation donated the tree that we light 9 years ago to honor his son, Detective Brian Moore. And you know what? It was interesting to think about a tree lighting ceremony to memorialize someone, because what is a tree lighting about? It's about, so with the evergreen tree I found, right? Think about this, reminds us of endurance, right? Standing strong even through the darkest seasons. While the menorah's candles remind us that even the smallest light can push back the darkness. So together they reflect Brian's spirit. It's bright, steady, and full of life, and so Brian's life continues to shine in the hearts and minds of those in Plain Edge. So we're thankful Mr. Moore was there. He also, was actively involved in getting everything organized there. Thank you to the North Massapequa Fire Department, and Ralph Raymond, who did a lot of the footwork and getting lots of the lights there and things like that, and as well as the Bethpage Fire Department, and they both were responsible for getting Santa safely from the North Pole. No easy task. From the North Pole to that event, and the kids had a great time with that. A special shout out to the behind the scenes people that night for our Mason Grounds crew, and they did a lot of work to get that showmobile, everything up and running. Their efforts truly made the evening shine. A big congratulations to Charles E. Shorting, fifth grader, Megan Bender, who was named the New York Islanders Teacher of the Month. Fifth grade teacher, she's not fifth grader. She wants to be a fifth grader, she's a fifth grade teacher. Megan beautifully shared what inspires her each day, which was a beautiful thing that she said. She wrote, watching her students discover strengths they didn't even know they had. Those moments when confidence grows and learning clicks are what make teaching so powerful. Megan brings that spirit to her classroom every single day, and she really is a joy. Earlier this evening, Plainage TV teamed up with Vinnie's Army to host a family movie night featuring the holiday favorite, Santa Claus. That's one. It is a good one. Families enjoy popcorn, photos with Santa, and a cozy night together, all while supporting a meaningful cause. Such generosity here in Plainage. Another exciting news, pre-K lottery will take place right here Thursday on December 18th, at 4 a.m. 4 a.m. in the morning, if you want your child, at 4 p.m. And the results will be live streamed on Plainage TV. So that's exciting. Those kindergarten online registration for 2026-27 will open January 20th. The children must be 5 by December 1st. Right now we have 176 children registered for pre-K, and with 162 spots. So we're hoping to be able to provide it to all of them. We'll see what our buildings look like in terms of room. But the lottery will happen Thursday, I'm sorry. Congratulations to the Plainage High School Fall 2025 Scholar Athlete teams. We're proud of them and their coaches who continue to balance academic success with their athletic commitments. Scholar Athlete recognitions were earned by the boys and girls cross-country teams, the football team, D&D cheerleading, boys golf, girls tennis, boys and girls soccer, and boys and girls volleyball. I'd also like to extend a sincere thank you to the buildings and grounds and custodial work, what they did on the first snowstorm, which we used to get like 2 inches. That didn't happen. And so they were out here all day on Sunday, despite the snow and the bitter cold, trying to get everything up and running. So we were able to start on time on Monday. So anyway, as we enter the holiday season and the new year, many of us think about resolutions. So not as grand promises, but as small, meaningful commitments. A commitment to listen more closely, to support one another more intentionally, and to keep growth and possibility at the center of what we do. May this year be guided not by perfection, but by purpose, progress, and a shared belief in what we can achieve together. I would like to wish all of the Plainage community a happy Hanukkah, a Merry Christmas, and a New Year filled with much health and happiness.
Okay. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to our student rep.
Alright, so as an update from last meeting, Canmores was very successful. The senior class did in fact win, but it was a very close competition. The junior class Thanksgiving pie fundraiser was a success, as well as the Best Buddies Friendsgiving celebration, where each member brought a dish to share and pass around with members in the club. Select student council members had an amazing experience at the 3rd annual leadership symposium hosted by Carl Place High School. Each student council member was put into a different group where they discussed different topics about leadership, school spirit, and just different events that each school does that are unique. Each group gained a ton of ideas, from other schools that we can implement in order to boost our school spirit and continue making this year memorable. The freshman student council continues to share the holiday spirit with their Candygram fundraiser, where students can gift their friends candy canes and a nice message during class. The class of 2028 is partnering with God Sneakers, which is a sneaker recycling organization, and this will be happening between January 5th and the 16th. Any and all pairs of sneakers can be dropped off in a bin located in the high school lobby. The sneakers will then be reused, repurposed, or recycled by the company. The senior class decorated the halls for the holidays to further promote the spirit. And Holiday Spirit Week also started. Monday was Pajama Day, and this will continue through Tuesday. The winter concerts have concluded. Once again, they showcased how amazing and dedicated the music teachers and students are, as they did not have a lot of time to prepare, as school only started in September. The band focused on marching band for the majority of this time, and the choir still needed to do auditions. Despite this, each song sounded amazing, and they continued to demonstrate their talent. The drama club has also been very busy. preparing for the fall play, the musical comedy Murders of 1940. They showcased their play during 2 class periods, as well as had shows over the weekend. And they are also very excited to start working on the spring musical, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. And lastly, Regents Review for the January Regents have started after school for any students who need help with that.
Thank you. Moving on to routine approvals. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the November 18th, 2025 business meeting? Mr. Versace, second. Mr. Morrissey, all in favor? 7 in favor. Do I have a motion to approve warrant reports 40, 41, 43, 45, 46, 48, 49?
Moved.
Mr. Garcia, second. Mr. Pascarello, all in favor? 7 people in favor, carries. Do I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report, October 2025? Mr. Morrissey, second. Mr. Auer, all in favor? 7 in favor, motion carries. Excuse me. Moving on to discussions and presentations. First one is on career and technical opportunities. I'll turn it over to Dr. DiPaola.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Today, I'm joined by Ms. Ioko, our high school principal. Mr. Wasserman had also worked on this with us. Unfortunately, he is sick tonight, so he will not be joining us. But I wanted to let you all know that we worked together on this presentation. So we're going to talk about these opportunities that are available to our students here in Plainedge. To begin, we're going to talk about what exactly is BOCES program.
Hi, good evening, everyone. All right, so BOCES is the Board of Cooperative Educational Services, which offers shared services amongst local educational agencies. So the agencies we're going to talk about tonight is the Career and Technical Education, which they offer at Barry Tech in Westbury and GC Tech in Garden City. So what do these programs do? They offer students educational pathways that help prepare them with a combination of skills and hand-on opportunities for career readiness. And it's really interesting because at their facilities, they build the classrooms to look like where these careers would be. So if you're in an electrical classroom, it has the whole frame with all the different electrical wires. They try explaining it to me, and it sounds very complicated, and it's very impressive to see. They have a full culinary kitchen that you would work in if you were a chef somewhere. So they build all these very impressive rooms to pair the hands-on knowledge with the classroom knowledge for the students. Their schedules, it depends on what year they're in, the way the BOCES makes their schedules. If you're a junior, you attend BOCES in the morning, and then you attend your high school program in the afternoon. And if you're a senior, you attend high school in the morning, and then you go to your BOCES program in the afternoon. So what does happen sometimes with these schedules is because of the time that classes are offered here and the time that classes are offered at BOCES, students then will look at their choices and have to choose. Sometimes if they say they want like a music program and band is in the morning, they'd have to choose if they want to stay with band and stay on that path, or they want to go to the BOCES program. Sometimes they'll skip band for 1 year and then come back the following year, but that does happen because of the AM/PM schedule. Also, the cost to attend per student, this is on a 3-year average, which Dr. DiPaola will talk about a little later. For the general education programs offered at BOCES is a little over $15,000. And for the skills-based program, it's a little over $27,000. So as you see, there are a lot of programs that students can choose from. And as new programs come out, they also inform us about the new programs, and then we let the students know about the new programs, so they constantly update their options based on what the world needs. One of the newest ones they have is hospitality and tourism. Another new one they have, and they have, I also saw this the other day there, which was really amazing to see. They have like the dog care and grooming, because dog daycare is a thing now, right? You tell people 10 years ago that you're going to be paying $35 a day for your dog to go to doggy daycare, you would have laughed at them, and now they're very well off. So that is something that they do offer there, and people bring in their animals there for grooming, in their cars there for oil changes. So all of that is happening. Barry Tech has a lot of programs they offer, and they have a very large space. I got lost there a few times. And then the next slide. GC Tech is a smaller space, but they do offer other programs too that our students are interested in. So depending on the program that's being offered and where their interest is, depends on where they will attend. So this is for our students, the breakdown of the class of where they attend. So we have 55 students currently in BOCES between the juniors and the seniors. And our top 3 are also the top 3 programs that people often apply to for BOCES. So cosmetology is a very big ask. Construction and electrical is a very big ask, and so is automotive technology.
So as you can see, this past year, as Ms. Ioko has said, that we have 55 students that are attending. 47 are general education and 8 students are skills students here. If you look in our previous year, we had a total of 46. And you can see here that 8 students withdrew after the first year. And the reason being that it was because, as Ms. Ioko said, they decided, I wanted to come back to Plain Edge. I wanted to really, I missed band. Or I wanted to do an AP class that's only offered during this time. Or they said the program really wasn't for me. I thought it was going to be something else. It wasn't. And you know what? That's what we're here for. We're here to allow them to explore their interests. You know, we hope that they make the 2-year commitment. But if it doesn't work and it's not suited for them, you know, we work with the student because we want to have every avenue open to them as possible. So when you look at the costs, so the cost when we did this spreadsheet is based on a 3-year average and does not include transportation. So if you look in 24-25 to send the 46 students, it costs about almost $800,000. And in 25-26, it costs about $960,000 to send our students. Now, with we get aid back. So that is one of the things associated with sending our students to BOCES is that we do receive aid. So we net about 40% back after BOCES takes their administrative fee, calculated with the state ratio for this program, which is about 62%. So we net 40% back on the aid.
All right, so there is an application process to get into BOCES. So we start the application process internally before they go to the external process. So the first thing we do is we want to make sure that the students are informed about this whole process and what BOCES is. So we begin with sending out parent square communication in October, letting the parents and students know, because as much as we want the students to be responsible and read their own emails, we want the parents to be aware as well and maybe tell them to look for that email. And we also announce it on the loudspeaker and in classrooms that there will be an information session because we want them to get as much information as possible before they make this decision so they are aware. So students who might have been interested now are like, okay, that's not for me. Or students who are like, maybe I'll just go to the session, hear about it, and then they're like, oh, this definitely has something for me there. So we do that information session in November, and even if they don't sign up and they hear that it's happening, we say, come on in, we take your attendance to make sure that you're accounted for, and they listen to the whole process about how to apply. They're encouraged to go to the open houses there to also check it out. After that, then we start going into classrooms, pushing into classrooms with the counselors to talk more about the whole selection process of courses and include BOCES in that, and let them all get to know about the application process. We've actually already had 22 students apply, and the deadline isn't until mid-January, so they're definitely hearing it and definitely taking advantage of applying early. And then the counselors meet with the students one-on-one, where again, they will talk to the student, and if a student's interested in the BOCES program, talks to their counselor more about which program they want to select and where they want to apply and why. So part of this also is they write us a brief essay, and we meet as a committee to read their essays and go over their application before they move on to the next step. So the committee is comprised of their guidance counselors, administration, all 3 administrators, and the director of guidance. Sometimes their social worker, sometimes school psychologist, so it's a whole team of people who go through the application together. On average, we've denied 2 to 5 applicants on a yearly basis, and that's only due to attendance and credits, because if you're gonna go to BOCES, they need you to have your attendance and be there because they want you present, otherwise they will remove you from the program. And also, if you're not on track to graduate, you don't have the credits you need to go from there.
Okay, then the next part is the application then gets passed on to BOCES. So BOCES now has their own process in place. So the counselor applies on behalf of our students in mid-February. Then they're reviewed on a rolling basis. And their committee is comprised of the BOCES administrators, teachers, and guidance counselors. So that's why our team here does a great job of already pre-screening the applications, because they know from experience what BOCES is looking for. So they're looking at things like the students' records, including attendance, transcripts, report cards, test scores, comments from student personnel, and health records. Students are still, strongly encouraged to attend the open house events. And then the admission process, the high school counselor is the biggest advocate for their students, because they work together with BOCES to make sure that the students are placed appropriately. Now, after placement, we have approximately 3 to 5 students that actually decline the program each year. Again, it could be after meeting with the counselors, after learning more at other events, they just decide this isn't for me, and that's okay. And the placement decisions can happen anywhere throughout March to May. And you may say, why such a broad range? It really depends on the program. And that's what BOCES lets us know. As soon as they let us know, we let our students know. Now this year, I wanted to bring to everyone's attention, so the high school team and the curriculum instruction department has worked together to start creating career pathways. That is the way everything is going. We want our students to know what classes that we offer here is going to help them potentially go into the career that they want to later in life. So what we did as a team is we created, as you can see here, different career pathways that our students would be potentially interested in. Then what we did was we created, and all of you have a copy of it in front of you. This is now in our new curriculum guide posted online. The list of all the electives and core classes that meet the criteria for those different pathways. And you might say one class doesn't only fit into business and leadership, it could fit into into a mathematics pathway. So what we did is we cross-tagged them. So everyone has a cross-tag, and students can say, oh, this class will go into this or this, and they don't have to stay in it. They could say, oh, I'm interested in law, society, and communication. They take a couple of classes and they're like, not for me. I think I want to go into international studies. So it's not something that they're pigeonholed, but it allows them to say, these are classes that are going to help me make decisions that when I go to college or go into the career world, is this what I truly want to do? And that's our job, to expose as much as we can to our students. Also, I wanted to point out, because we're talking about the different careers and CTE, that all incoming freshmen starting next year in 2026, 2027 will take financial literacy for life at some point before they graduate high school. Excuse me. Another thing I wanted to bring up is that with all of these things where we were so excited and the momentum is building and this is where we're going, we are going to start looking at the capital project that was approved a few years ago. That's approximately $2 million that the taxpayers had already approved, and the state had plans that are approved as well for our new research wing at the high school that would convert the science and, science and library section into a research component as well as a CTE component. So we look forward to working administratively with the teachers to really build an instructional space that will meet the needs of science, research, and careers exploration for our students. Any questions?
So the career pathway sounds a lot like what we saw at NISBA in that seminar or whatever it was by Comac. Are there thoughts about sort of branding these different pathway titles so kids feel like some sense of ownership? I'm imagining Hogwarts with the big hat and you get to pick.
So as we build and we're going to see what guidance, as we start our journey with the portrait of the graduate, and we want to see where that goes. We know that this is going to be a component, so we wanted to start, exploring these like this right now, having kids get used to, okay, these classes go here, these classes go there. We could potentially look into that. The one thing is that right now as a team that we liked is that it's the flexibility of students not to pigeonhole themselves, because that's what we're here for. If they say, I want law and criminal justice, and then they go into it and they don't like it, we don't want them to continue on that. We want them to be able to explore other avenues. So we haven't gotten to that point of branding, but we did like the fact that students can make more informed decisions of what electives and classes they're now taking and say, oh, I didn't realize this class will help me in that. Like, to be honest, I had started off as pre-med when I went to college. Did I think that I would have to take engineering calculus to go pre-med? No, so this allows the students to say, wow, I didn't realize I need that class to do that. But if you go to business, you need business calculus, which is different. So a student here, if they're going in the business world, they want to just take calculus AB. But if you're going to go in the engineering field and the medical field, you'll want to take calculus BC. So this allows our students to make more informed decisions, right? And then as we build those spaces, excuse me, as we build those spaces, that's where from the instructional staff comes like what is needed to really build this program. Another thing I wanted to mention is that, for instance, like EMT certification course, right? We offered that last year, but we didn't get enough interest because of the way that you have to schedule it and the cost factor of how they group the number of students per course. We put it still in our course catalog to see what interest we have. If we still do not have enough interest to run it in-house, I have already been working with another school district that as long as they have spots open, they will then accept our students to take it. And it's at night. It's a 6 to 9 class, 2 days a week. So eventually we're going to put out a survey. If nobody picks it during their course selection, if they're interested in doing it at night and there are spots available, we'll know in the spring, and then we can send our kids to be EMT certified.
I think when it comes, that's all that's awesome. I think when it comes to the CTE, you look at BOCES and there's some number of kids who start and then come back, and if that's mid-year, I think that has a lot of unique challenges, and if it's at the end of the year, it's a little easier, but you still got some catch-up. Do you see, and I guess you do because you're starting to make some plans for it, more of an appetite to try to introduce these types of programs in our building? And then so one of the big things with BOCES is you could come out with a certification. That's very hard to do within a public, our school. But on the other hand, if you might be missing some of the classes you would have taken if you decide to go to a career or a college at the end of graduation.
So
it gets complicated, doesn't it?
right, so that's why we're trying to offer opportunities. So when we look at developing those new spaces, we've already talked about, and we've kind of just teetered on different names, and Ms. Ayoko came up with a good one of like homeowners 101 or something like that, of where you can take these pieces of the trades and do like a little bit of a taste to see if students, but that has to be built.
Right.
We're dreaming, with dreaming big, and then we'll have to build it out with the staff. But these are ideas that we've already started putting in works and thinking about. So just so in case you don't know, a couple of years ago when we introduced anatomy and physiology here, because our students who left and went to Malloy and said with the nursing program they were at a disadvantage that we didn't offer it. Now we have at least 2 full sections. We offer CPR, they leave with CPR certification and first aid certification. Mrs. Wallbaum teaches it, so she's right there. She helped build that from the ground up a couple of years ago, and we increased it. We started off with 1 section, now we're at 3 sections. So you could see that that is an interest of our students, and they leave with a certification. This EMT, we could not get off the ground last year because we just didn't have the interest, but I didn't want to stop there. So I'm talking to other places, and I believe it will work for us if we have students and they don't max out. And they don't believe they will, but we'll see, but at least we're giving that opportunity. Another thing that, we just keep exploring other places. The next one that we want to explore is real estate. That's like one of the big things that a couple of, I know, competition, I don't know.
No, build it, take my job, please.
So, a couple of the other schools around have been looking and providing real estate courses where students actually come out as real estate licenses, real estate agents as they leave high school. But again, these are, we can't build Rome overnight, but so we are starting with this to see where the kids are landing in their interests, and then we're gonna build from there.
Thank you.
I had something to say. That's okay. May I? First, I want to say this is a great job. We definitely needed this, so I appreciate this so much. I attended curriculum night the other night. You all did, and Mr. Wasserman is not here. You and all of our guidance department. They did a really spectacular job with that. I actually used this the next day with my 9th grader, and this was such a valuable tool. And I'll tell you, because she knows her path, and she had 1 elective, and some classes she didn't realize they were actually electives. So she's only in 9th grade. She will start working her way towards her path in 10th grade, and this really saves a lot of time. So that leads to my question. I only know because I went to the meeting, and it wasn't a huge turnout, I think, because of the time of the year. What would you tell our parents? Like, how do you access this? And are there other tools to help their kids that are readily available? Like, I had a little trouble trying to find it. Should they go to the guidance?
So Mr. Wasserman did put out a Parent Square
Okay,
message
so it's in Parent Square.
with the links to all of these pieces.
Okay.
And in the curriculum guide too, the reason why we love it being electronic too is because it could be bookmarked, and then parents could actually go right to that one slot instead of scrolling and flipping through pages to find.
Yeah, no, it was a really great tool, so I highly recommend everybody looking at that for every grade level.
The teamwork's really.
Yeah, no, you guys did a spectacular job, and it reminded me of COMAC when we saw COMAC's presentation, so I'm just thrilled that we have this. My other question is about the Boe season Barry Tech. You mentioned that it is sometimes possible that a child doesn't finish out the year. What happens to the cost of that? Do we pay for the year and we kind of eat that, or?
We pay for the year, but mostly they finish out the year.
Okay.
They withdraw after the first year. So
Let's say attendance is an issue or illness, what happens there?
I think the team here like vets the students out.
Okay.
Like if there's an attendance problem,
They won't get it.
they're really not moving forward. It's, and the students already know that. So students know when they want to apply, if they're not going to be here, and the counselors and the administrators have those conversations too with kids who bring that up and say, well, your attendance really has to improve for us to put our stamp on you, because then you're going to take a spot from another student in another district, and then if you don't attend and get kicked out, so those conversations happen. It's more that they withdraw after the first year, and don't follow into the second year.
And then there's no cost to us if that happens. You're only paying per year.
You're only paying for
Gotcha.
10.
Okay, great, thank you.
So I echo what I said. I think this is all great, and anything we can do to make sure our students can be successful in the future, I think you'll find everyone on this board supportive of. Looking at the pathways and looking at the knowledge of these are the pathways available to you, this is how you walk down those pathways is great. How do we talk about what sits at the end? We talk about, all right, these are the jobs you can have if you follow this pathway. Do we talk about these are the industries that are hiring? And other than what jumps out at me and looking at the BOCES data as well, I think it might still be the case Northwell is one of, if not the largest private employer in New York State. Healthcare is booming across the country, yet they're pretty low. You see the enrollment numbers are fairly low. We talk to the students about, okay, these are the industries that are hiring. If you follow keep it an example, healthcare pathway, BOCES offers phlebotomy, they offer nuclear medicine. These are the jobs that are hiring. How do you work at it?
It's funny that you mentioned that, because we already created a partnership with them for 2027, because there's a wait list to get this program. So we're going to connect it with our career day. Northwell brings in a whole team. And we went and visited, and we fill up a whole gymnasium, and it's in different parts of the healthcare system. And when we went to another school district, we had a former Plain Edge student presenting as a pharmacist there. So that was really cool to see, that I saw her in high school, and she's now presenting as a pharmacist for Northwell. And then they're going to have speakers, and then we get to pick the topics we want to, so we would survey our students. But again, we couldn't get them till 2027 because they'll only take a few school districts a year. So we are going down those avenues.
And that's great. I'd love to hear that. But do we have these conversations globally across, and I use that as an example, because we talk about hiring trends across industries and say, look, these are the industries that are hiring. These are the pathways that are available to you. Here's the average salary after however many years. Is there, this is the pathway, is there apprenticeship? Do we have these conversations more globally across the industries so that students have a realistic expectation of, all right, I may love this field, but there's a pathway available to me, but it's niche, and they don't hire many people every year, or where these jobs are located down south or out west or in the Midwest.
Well, as we work to build this up, because this was our first step in creating this and really exposing students, we have advisory programs, and we can continue to evolve this. To have interest surveys, we have our Naviance system where we get some of their interests already, but this will help give us, and I think, a better point of reference, and then we can build out those sessions. Still a work in progress.
No,
We don't have that all quite yet, right?
I understand.
Yeah, so in economics, we do budgets and careers and stuff, but we will now have more focal points by having this.
Under conversation, I appreciate the presentation. I think this is all great. Information, knowledge, is power, and I think it's for both of us as we continue to grow this.
Thank you. Yes, and the team they're constantly looking. When they saw this at Northwell, brought it to our attention. We all went to go look at it. We think it's great. I couldn't believe when I spoke to the lady, there's no way. She's like, they only take 2 to 3 schools a year. So, but we're on the 2027 list. Any other questions?
Yeah, great presentation. So, with emphasis on the financial literacy for life program, I think it's great. And in speaking with constituents, a lot of the constituents who don't have school-age children, their kids have graduated years ago. They're saying, I can't believe kids can graduate now and not know how to write a check or how to balance their own budget, I guess, at home. I think it's great. And maybe in the future we can have a presentation as to what that curriculum is.
It's a new course.
Yeah,
We are going to be creating it with teachers. Also, it is a state mandate of having financial literacy before you graduate, and there's different bands.
Mm-hmm.
It will also go down to the elementary schools as well as the middle school. But we have rollouts of that. The financial literacy part is covered in economics, so our students already receive that, but we are adding that extra layer that all students will have that intro type of
Yeah,
class.
that's right. So once it's all solidified and you have
Yeah.
either a K-12 program or just a high school program, I think it'd be great to see it. And it's something we can show our constituency when we're going out there talking to people. Hey, we're doing the right thing by making sure when these kids graduate high school, they're functioning adults. It's an important part of what we do. So
We've heard a lot of that, and that's why the team worked to create that.
great. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next item is the 2026-2027 school calendar. Do you also?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so it's that time of year to look at the calendar for next year. So all of you have in front of you, it's called option 1 and option 2 for the potential school days for next year. So before I begin, I just want to give you a frame of reference. Every school district has different requirements according to how many instructional days, how many superintendent's conference days you can have in teacher contracts. Ours is 182 instructional days with 2 superintendent's conference days. The state has minimum requirements. Everyone would always know, like, 180 days is the minimum. It could include superintendent's conference days. Also, to give you a frame of reference, the state also changed it where they actually count hours. So every year we have to calculate the number of hours that we provide our students with instruction. So this, when the contract was made, this allowed in order to make all the state aid requirements. So there's not a lot of wiggle room with this next year's calendar. Labor Day is very late this year. So all schools are starting before Labor Day because it's impossible to get the number of school days you need if you start afterwards. So there's 2 options. One would be that we keep with the 182 instructional days and 2 superintendent's conference days, which would mean our students start on August 31st. And the teacher's first superintendent's conference day would be the 27th. On option 2, you would then have 181 instructional days with 3 superintendent's conference days. This would allow the teachers to have 2 at the beginning of the year on August 27th and August 31st, and students would start with September 1st. Now, when we looked at, we always collaborate with other districts to find out what they're doing and so forth, as well as BOCES. Majority are starting on the 1st. There are a few school districts who are starting beforehand, but they also have, again, more contractual days. So it all depends on what each individual school district has as a requirement. This also allows, so when you look at a BOCES calendar, because we just did a whole presentation on BOCES, our students need somewhere to go. So we try to minimize the days that are different than the BOCES calendar. So if we start on the 31st with students, they have superintendent's conference days, the 31st, 1st, and 2nd. They don't start till the 3rd. So it allows us to minimize the days if we start students on the 1st. And the students would either come here or they just stay at home until they're scheduled to go to BOCES those 2 days. But when we present calendars, those are the factors that we put in place. So there are 2 options available. I think the option 2 helps us the most with our students, but that's up for all of you to discuss. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Please.
Yeah, I don't have any questions. I think option 2 makes more sense.
And that's what's best for students.
Yeah, whatever helps the kids and.
I think also during the agenda prep, the other point that was made was the 2 superintendent's conference days also helps the teachers. So,
Yes, it helps the teachers be prepared for our students when they come through the door. It also helps us to, when we have different initiatives and different things that we want to, as a district, accomplish, to really get the ball rolling on a good start and a good momentum before the students walk in.
So I think we'll go with option 2. I think the other thing, I think option 2 seems to be consensus. Okay.
2's fine by me.
2. So then later in the meeting.
Doesn't matter at this point, yeah. Okay, yeah.
It's on the consent agenda.
Right, for later in the meeting. So later in the meeting, then that would go to adopt.
All right, perfect.
Thank you.
Moving on, we have the policies, so I'll turn it over to the policy committee again.
So there are three policies there. 7100 is facilities planning, sort of how they, any new or updates to facilities will be evaluated. It is a recommended policy from the lawyer. It sort of formalizes a lot of what should be going on. There's really nothing there that locks administration into anything, so it's pretty self-explanatory. When she gave it to us as the recommendation, we didn't really have much opinion on that one.
It's good because it gives you the enrollment projections, kind of solidifies that, and the 5-year capital plan too, kind of puts that in writing. And that's something we want to go through, so.
Then you have 7,500, which I suspect we'll talk a little bit about, so I'm going to skip over to 7,800, retirement or closing of facilities draft. So under state law, if you ever wanted to close a school, there are certain procedures you have to, by law, follow. The lawyer recommends that we formalize what the law is in our policy, just so nobody gets nervous. The policy committee was not considering closing anything. But if that ever did happen down the future, you'd want to make sure there's a roadmap of how that happens and that there'd be plenty of opportunity for the community to have input on that. So that policy is also recommended by the lawyer. It mirrors state law. It's recommended, and we had no real comments on it.
Can I just ask a question, Chairman? So 7,100 versus 7,800. One of the things I noticed is on 7,800, they talk about an advisory committee. Should we have language like that on 7,100? And then the second question I have on 7,800 is, I didn't notice anything about like putting closing a facility to a vote to the public. Should that?
So I could actually answer both of those. So to your last question, because that's the one I remember right now. It is illegal in New York State to have advisory votes. So any power that the school board holds, you cannot put out advisory votes. So you can't have during the budget vote, would you like to close the school? That is the power vested in the school board. So that's why you have advisory committees, so that there is ample opportunity for the public to have input, but that is not something you necessarily could put as a prop vote.
Got it.
There was another one there on 7,100. Oh, nothing in 7,100 as written would keep us from having a capital improvement committee, which we do and is out there. So that's an advisory committee. You could always have those, whether ad hoc or standing. But there's nothing in that policy, according to the lawyer, I'll trust her, that would keep us from doing what we're already doing.
Okay, cool.
7,500, naming of facilities draft. That's when we spent the most amount of time discussing. That's how we found out you can't have an advisory vote in your budget, because that was sort of how we wanted to do it. That is a power vested in the school board. You can't turn your power back over, so to speak, to the public. So that is always going to be for the board to decide. What we landed on there was that any request or consideration of naming a facility would have a 1-year waiting period. And at the end of that 1 year would be brought up again for a vote. We felt that gave the public a chance to have plenty of comment on that over the course of an entire year. But we never really completely were sold on the best way to do that. So if anybody has any other
And
thoughts,
I believe it has to be re-requested after the year has passed.
that's how it's written.
Yeah.
So it kind of gets considered, tabled, and then after a year has to go up for the vote again with the board.
So again, not something you can't put up for referendum.
Delegate to the
Can't do
public,
it.
yeah.
The other thing that the committee, and I'll just kind of jump ahead because I can imagine one of the questions. With these types of policies, it's really a board policy more than it is administration. The administration can't just name something, right? So it's really the board setting a policy of how we would behave. But at the same time, future boards or even ourselves could immediately change the policy. We could have a new policy vote. If in the board's view that policy needs to be passed right away, you don't have to have a justification for why you're immediately reading and adopting the policy. So you could conceivably change a policy in the beginning of a meeting and then act outside of the original policy by the end of the meeting. So because that power is always going to be within the board's purview and has ownership over that power, you sort of just setting the stage for, hey, this is how we would operate if this came up. But whatever you do could be changed at a later date anyway. Also, if we ever did consider any sort of small remembrances or memorials, that would not be precluded from this particular policy, although there's some other things we would need to do. I think the question for the board is going to be under 7,500. We were comfortable with it as it stands, but are we as a board comfortable with that 1-year waiting period, or do we have other ideas?
There have been thoughts and ideas and opinions thrown around a lot on this topic recently. I've expressed a number of my own over the past couple of years. I appreciate your clarification, and it kind of forestalled a little bit of what I was going to say. And I mentioned last year, my time spent working for the New York City schools, that the chancellor's regulation around this is a little more restrictive. It limits the naming of buildings, parts of buildings, to individuals who are deceased, or if you donated the facility. But your point is well made, that as a board policy, the board retains the power to overturn its own policy, and at any point. I'm kind of reminded of the First Vatican Council. The first thing that they used to declare with papal infallibility was papal infallibility. But I do appreciate all your work and all your efforts on this, and the informative discussion that you're having with us right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think a 1-year waiting period is important. Helps maybe take some emotions out of decisions. Speaking along the lines, 5 years after someone passes for sainthood, that's another one. So 1-year waiting period seems pretty short.
The city is 5 years in the building after a person too.
Okay, so there you go. So they're aligned. So I think that's just good policy, and I'm glad we're finally putting something forward so that everyone kind of knows the rules of the road. And the future boards decide to change that, and that's what that's taken to.
It also
why they want to do that.
It also sort of forces the board to make two actions. You're gonna have to look at the mirror and decide why you suspended your policy or change your policy to do this. So I think that gives a little more power to the taxpayers.
Yeah.
So if everybody's good, then that's the recommendation of the policy committee.
Yeah, works. Thank you. All right, moving on to section 5 business. A motion to approve items 1 through 27.
So moved.
Mr. Pasquarello, second. Mr. Panicello.
Mr. Bayrudi, there's an amendment to section 5 business. There's an additional resolution. I believe you had it.
So I will add resolution number 28 onto the agenda. And I'm going to do that as a separate vote from the consent agenda. So I'll just read the resolution for everyone so that they can have the information. Be it resolved that the Board of Education appoints Elena Kakavis, Esquire of Kakavis, ADR LLC at $300 per hour to investigate a complaint filed by a certain professional staff member. Be it further resolved that the board president is authorized to execute a retainer agreement with Kakavis ADR LLC for said purpose. So with that being said, do I have a motion to approve items 1 through 27?
So moved, yeah.
All right, Mr. Pasquarello, second. Mr. Poncello, all in favor? Okay. 7 in favor?
7 in favor, motion passed.
And do I have a motion to approve item number 28? Mrs. Versace, second.
Second.
Mr. Pasquarello, all in favor?
7 in favor? No,
No, 4.
4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 in favor?
No.
1, 2.
Abstentions?
Abstention? Abstain?
3 abstentions.
3 abstentions?
Yeah, so 4 0 3.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on to, I just want to make on the items that we just passed, I just wanted to call out one item. Mr. Caruso, who is our audit committee chair after 20 years, is looking to stop doing that and focus more on home life. Obviously, he was our one and only audit committee chairperson. In light of his desire to, halt serving in that capacity, the board has decided to appoint two people to step up and help us with the audit committee role. And so what we did was we created a chairperson and vice chairperson position. So with that being said, I'd like to announce that the two people that we chose, first person is the chairperson is Kate Roman, and the vice chairperson is Christine Shroy. So just for everyone's information, you'll be seeing them sitting up here on the dais with us as we talk about the excitement of external audits, internal audits, and audits. So,
And if I could add, just to be ready, the process was wide open. We accepted applications from anyone in the community who met the state standards. I was interested, I submitted their resume. I believe there was, I know there was a review process, an interview process, and we have two outstanding candidates. And Mr. Caruso has said he's going to stick around. He's not running away to help with transition and make sure that the handoff is as smooth as can be possible.
I just want to thank everyone for those who applied for the role. Appreciate you stepping up and trying to help serve the Punch community. With that being said, I'm going to move on to section 6, pride and planage. Opportunity for board members to present on attendance, participation at school and/or community events. Sure, please.
All right, I have a lot to say, so bear with me. So with that said, there's so many things to be proud of, especially this time of year. Unfortunately, it's because I was running around with my own children. I didn't make it to all the school concerts, but I heard that they were spectacular. And I even heard that one or two got plagued by the flu, and some of the teachers had to step in and they had to pull kids from all over the place, but they adapted, and apparently it was spectacular. The tree lighting, as we mentioned, was also spectacular, cold, but so much fun. That was the first time I actually was able to go, and I really enjoyed that. And then the following, last Friday night, I went to see the play, The Musical Comedy Murders of 1940, directed by Mr. Cipriano, Mr. Lane, set by Mr. Cuomo, and lights and sound by Mr. White. They really, from the minute you walked into the building to sit down to the minute you walked out, you really felt like you were in a Broadway production. Just the mood, even, the way the room was lit, it was spectacular. The entire production team was great, but every kid that graced that stage, whether they were acting, on the stage crew, the set, it just was so, I can't rave about this more, because not one of my kids had anything to do with this. I literally had tears in my eyes at the end when we were clapping for them, because I was just that proud of them. So if anyone can go in the future, you really, really should go. So that was spectacular. Switching over to sports, my son is on the WSP Kings hockey team. He's on the varsity team. They're right now 7-3, first in their division, and the JV team is 7-2, first in their division. That's for the first time, I think, in history. So that's great. Two more things that I'll touch on, and then I'll hand it over. Last Thursday, I was so lucky to be welcomed and invited to the Senior Citizen Center at St. James. I truly have such a special place in my heart for these people, and I really love spending time with them. And I never want them to feel like we forget about them. So I feel like it's really important that we try to connect with them when possible. So on that visit, they love when you come with stuff. So I showed up with like a lot of material, and they loved it. Peter, I think you helped me with this, right? We made a huge scan for them to get them onto Parent Square. And I spoke to them about all these things I'm going to show you. And then after the meeting, I literally took their cell phones and logged them in, signed them up. They loved that. That was great. I brought to them, this is not a new program, but one that was forgotten about, the Senior Citizens Gold Card program. This one actually got them out of their chairs as well. This gives them free admission to all of our events and, you know, keeps them in the know for everything that's going on in the town. So they love that. And finally, I spoke to them about the fitness center. I brought them a new brochure that is not really available to everybody yet, but it had a lot of question and answers and step-by-steps on how to sign up. So that was huge. I shared the high school band fundraiser with them and Vinnie's Army's Soldier Sacks fundraiser. The other thing, last thing I'm going to say, and we haven't touched on this, and I feel really bad that we haven't yet. I wanted to thank Ms. Green. We haven't mentioned her really to the public. She's our new clerk, and she really helped me put this all together, and I kind of harassed her a little bit, so I appreciate all her help. She's been spectacular, and that's it. That's all I got.
Thank you.
I went to a lot of the things. You lose track, but I do want to say tonight's my grandfather's 97th birthday, so I'm going to use 10 seconds here to say happy birthday to Grandpa. He's a Plain Edge taxpayer since 1968, so you're getting plenty out of him, that's for sure.
And he was there. He was there at the meeting. So.
I think I'm exhausted just thinking about everything that Mrs. Versace did. But it is such a wonderful time of the year here on Plain Edge, and just touching upon a couple of things. The season of lights was wonderful as always, and thank you to everybody involved in that. It's such a heartwarming event, and my kids loved the hot chocolate. It was fantastic. I got to drink half of both of theirs, so I got a full one myself.
Thank you.
I was able to go to the second night of the high school concert and saw Miss Sayoko and her flute up on stage. Maybe one of these years I'll get up there with the trumpet, but I'm not going to hold my breath. The high school play was also tremendous. My kids thoroughly enjoyed it as much as I did, and I have to give a particular shout out to the stage crew and the set design. It was a complicated set for, I would imagine, a professional set design team. And, not only did they pull it off flawlessly, the actors and actresses utilized every ounce of talent, considerable talent that they have, and put on a wonderful production. And I'm looking forward to the middle school concert tomorrow night, because we're still in concert season. And thank you.
No one else? Yeah, please.
Speaking about the concerts and the play, I was at both of those, both wonderful. Every student was just fabulous in both roles. The play was outstanding. The concerts are moving too. But I also on the 8th I was able to have lunch at school because we were invited last board meeting to attend a lunch, and working at a school, I couldn't believe how smoothly the students getting lunch works and how quickly and efficient the workers were to feed them, and the active food was actually, wouldn't consider cafeteria food. It was very good. My daughter recommended the turkey and cheese, so that's what I got, and it was very good. So they're very lucky to have a lunch program like that. It's not the old grilled cheese and Elio's pizza anymore. It's much better these days.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, so for myself, I went to the high school winter concert 1 and 2, and both were great. Mrs. Rutola doesn't have, I don't think, vision of former players going up, so I didn't get to show off my VO skills, which are probably rusty at this point. But again, they're wonderful musicians. The choir is always really great, and I enjoy them, especially when they do their little movements or whatever. They always put on a great show. So that was really good to get you into the season. For Brian Moore, Christmas tree and menorah lighting. Also, I forget how many years I've been going now. I've been going since my kids are little, but they love it. And it's also a great way of remembering Brian and the sacrifice, but also celebrating the good that's out there in the world. So I want to just point that out. Obviously, unfortunately, it seems like in Plain Edge, there's not a shortage of tragedy. Obviously, we had the tragedy with A&E Deli. But, one of the things, again, in the moments of darkness, there does come light sometimes. And so we just saw how the community was able to rally around his family that means so much to us. It's very sad. I mean, I went through all the time. I think my physique demonstrates that. They had they're wonderful people, and just want to give them a moment of silence on that. Thank you. The last part, I just want to acknowledge that sometimes I might say things that may be inartful, and things will come to light that, you say things in a way that isn't really the way you intended. And one of the things I want to apologize to Mrs. Muscarella, which I know she said she didn't want it, but, I think one of the things that you have to do is acknowledge your shortcomings. So what I want to do is acknowledge my shortcoming in the sense that when I was speaking to Newsday, one of the things I said was, we brought her on to keep the lights on and, have the paychecks clear. And, what I was trying to convey, and I said it kind of very shorthand, what I was trying to say, what I really meant by that is to offer the school district stability in a time of, turbulence. I mean, obviously, the resignation was something that threw the community into a loop. And so what I was trying to convey was that, she's someone who's bringing stability. She's a known entity. And just want to say to Mrs. Muscarella, obviously, I appreciate you. I appreciate the fact that you stepped up and you're doing much more than just keeping the lights on and having people paid. The people understood really behind the scenes how your leadership has helped shepherd us, whether it's, building relationships with the staff, the faculty, managing capital improvement projects that sometimes go sideways. It's been much more than that. And so I sincerely want to apologize to you for not.
I'll do not necessary, but thank you. And I can turn the lights off too, by the way.
But anyway, I just want to acknowledge that. And
that's why I was the tree lady. So.
But I want to acknowledge the hard work and dedication you've shown this community. I really appreciate it. I know the rest of the board does as well.
Thank you.
So that's it that I have. Okay. Moving on to new business. Update on district safety plan Desh's law AD implementation. Actually, don't know.
I'll take the lead.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. So for those that don't know, Desh's law was a bill that was passed by the governor in the spring after a tragic passing of a 12-year-old young female student in a school. And the sentiment was that if appropriate protocols were in place to address a cardiac event, that her life may have been saved. So shortly after that, New York State Education Department released a memo with some pretty strong recommendations. So we've been in the process of implementing those changes. In September, we had to create a cardiac emergency response plan. It had to be added to all of our building safety plans. And it was approved by our district physician and eventually uploaded to the state by the October 1st deadline. So that was the first portion of the expectation. And then the second was by January 20th of 2026. The district safety plan had to be updated to include training opportunities for staff in CPR and AED usage to ensure that a trained individual will be present at all school-sponsored functions. A plan to inform student, staff, and our plainage families on the signs of a cardiac arrest event, and a plan to ensure that our AEDs are accessible, check for proper functionality regularly, and improve signage around AED locations within our school. Yesterday, I met with the district safety team, and we talked about implementation of how we would meet those expectations, buying more AEDs to make sure they're readily available, providing various training opportunities for the staff on AED and CPR training, and then using some video content to make sure our students, staff, and our plain edge communities will distribute something at some point through Parent Square, where everyone understands the signs and symptoms of a cardiac event. So all of this was done, and as of tomorrow, pending board approval of this new item, the updated plan will be posted to the district website for a 30-day comment period, and then ultimately put before the board for approval on January 20th board meeting.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Mr. Maizano. just kind of wanted to give an update also on some items that I forgot to add to the agenda, quite honestly, but that I think are of interest to the community. Just wanted to give an update on the superintendent search, like what's happened and where it's going. So I apologize for not putting it on the agenda, just slipped my mind. But in terms of update on the superintendent search, what's happened so far is district-wide search has engaged in forums with various groups throughout the Plainridge community, whether it's bargaining units in the schools, groups of, that have interest in the school, whether it's the seniors, fire departments, et cetera. Everyone had gotten invitations to participate in forums, specially curated towards them. From what I heard, they all went really well, and they're going to put together what they call a binder of, information in terms of helping us to create what the superintendent profile should look like, meaning, which characteristics in the superintendent are most important to the community. And so, according to them, we've gotten great feedback, and that is scheduled. Actually, all these meetings are supposed to happen in March. In terms of applicants, we've gotten actually significant amount of interest in applicants in the position by a good number of applicants. I think in terms of how many people have actually submitted applications, we're looking in the teens. And in terms of there are applications in process, maybe I think about 20 or something like that, around there. So that doesn't mean they'll complete them, but they've clicked the button that they started. So it seems like there's significant interest in obviously this open role. In addition to that, I think, once we have the binder meeting after that, we'll be having interviews, first and second round interviews, to obviously pick the superintendent, or help us narrow down who we're going to pick as the superintendent. So that's it in terms of updates on the search. I don't know if anyone else has anything they want to add, or
Just that the posting closes on January 9th. Anticipate a number of individuals might be interested in applying, taking the opportunity of the holiday break to apply. And I expect that number will rise.
Yep, good point. The next thing is, as people have seen, there's probably, there's been the bus and late bus survey that went out for the committee that we're kicking off. That's slated to close the 19th. There's already been significant interest in that. I think close to 50 people have applied to be on the committee. So, I don't know if that number is going to go up any further. But again, the goal of that committee is to look at routes and improve safety. Hopefully that's not one of our bus drivers. That was but nonetheless, the regular school bus route is to really determine safety zones. I think, to be clear, Peter and I had some conversations with Mr. Johnson, who is a bus route expert. And so we're really looking to tackle some of the items that have been points of concern by parents. And I assume that as we launch this committee, there'll probably be more areas of concern, and we'll see what we can do as a committee. And then obviously late buses, looking to see what can be done there, if anything. Lastly, after this meeting, either this week or next, we're going to relaunch the capital improvements committee. I think it's important. We're talking about multi-million-dollar projects. One of the things that Dr. DiPiola had mentioned was the STEAM room, converting some of the science classrooms. I know the library was on deck, and just really trying to get an understanding of where the district should be focusing on in terms of capital improvements, especially in light of the fact that we're doing a re-review of the 5-year plan. That should be done this year. I think January, I think, is when we should see the first draft of that, or maybe it's the final draft, actually. But that will also be a roadmap. I think a lot of things that probably will end up focusing on is infrastructure type items. So we'll see what that brings, but that's also on the agenda. So please be on the lookout for a Parent Square announcement or social media announcement about the launch of those committees. That's all I have.
Mr. Perry, I have old business.
Yeah.
Okay. So about a year ago, I think it was January, we last spoke about adding high school residents that don't attend Plainridge access to our fitness facility. So back then, we had all agreed that it's something that we should look into, but it kind of died at that point. So I think it's something that we need to revisit, and then I'll give an update on the fitness center as to where we are since the last meeting, if that's okay.
I mean, my takeaway from that meeting was that I thought we had kind of reached consensus that we would open it up to non-plan age students. But again, I don't think that really launched.
Right. So was there an issue about insurance? I think at the last
No,
meeting
not
it
necessarily.
came
I
up.
think the concern was that the students that attended here have had training on the equipment and the do's and don'ts of exercise, and we thought that that training should be rolled out to probably all new members, whether they're student
Yes.
age or not, even
Yes.
seniors or,
So
anybody
that's
else
part
who
of
may
the
attend.
update. Yeah, so
So-
that will be part of the update. We just need the green light to say that high school students, let's say if they go to a Catholic school or an alternative location, can actually become members of the gym
Yes,
at this point.
proper
Okay. Okay, so that person would have to go in person and show proof of residency, maybe a high school ID card.
And
would
they'd be
be-
minors, so they would be, so that
And
parents
they'd
would
have
have
to
to
come
sign
with their
off on their,
parent, right.
using the facility and everything.
Right, so if there is anybody out there at this point that wants to do that, they should show up to the gym between hours of, I'd say, 5 and 8 p.m.?
Well, I think we should develop the training
Right,
first.
okay. Well, all right, so I'll get into my update, and then I guess that's something that you guys can work on behind the
Sure.
scenes. Okay. So Mrs. Muscarella and I met with Miss Allison and Mr. Giovanelli right after our last meeting, and I thought it was a great meeting. We spent about 2 hours together. We talked about some of the barriers as to why we're not getting usage. A lot of it was just people didn't know, so I took whatever flyers we had laying around the building. These flyers here, I brought some in case anybody wants. I dropped them off at all of the schools right after that meeting. I dropped them to the library, brought some to the senior center. I sent them with some of the volunteer firefighters to take to their firehouse as well. Miss Allison is also in the process of creating that brochure I mentioned earlier. That's not finished because we were going to finalize the issue with the high school resident who doesn't attend our school. So once you guys work that out, then these will be ready. I believe Mr. White is also working on an informational video with our production students. That will come in the new year. Orientations and tours will now be offered for new members. So anybody that's coming in should get a tour, and we pointed out that they should know where the AEDs are and if they're upstairs, how to get downstairs if they can't access the stairs. So that was something else that we talked about that day. Open houses are going to be planned the beginning of next year, so it wouldn't make it to the next board meeting, so you should keep your eye open for that too if that's something you're interested in. There should be a day session and an evening session. Minor adjustments have been made to the app just to make it slightly user-friendly. We didn't make too many changes at this point. It's not going to say classes anymore, it's going to be sessions. And the time slots will say just an hour, but that is a loose hour. So if somebody comes late or wants to stay a little later, that's fine too. They're not going to throw you out unless it's time to close down. Couple more things and I'm almost done. This Saturday is Breakfast with Santa at the high school. Miss Allison will be there after the breakfast, handing out some information and answering any questions if anybody wants to grab her on their way out. She doesn't want to interfere with the program that's going on, but she'll be there at the end of the day if you want to talk to her. And then she sent me some data, and December is not a great month to look at data in any gym. We're only halfway through the month, but overall demand and participation is growing. The no-shows are down too. So a lot of people would book and then just not show. Those numbers seem to have decreased, and the new member trend is increasing as well. So it's all good stuff.
January would be a good month.
So January should be spectacular.
Numbers are skyrocketing.
Yeah, so
I've been
December's
saying January for about 40 years now.
So December's not a great month to look at, but November we had 52 new members just in November, up from 25 in September. So that's really good. And that's it. I don't know if anybody has any questions. Thank you.
One last item I just want to raise to the board has to do with Nassau Community College, and obviously I think that school has a lot of importance to schools on Long Island, especially in Nassau County, where Dr. Maria Canzati was not not allowed to keep her appointment as president of the university. And so, why behind that, I don't really know, but what I've seen is a lot of support for her from various factions, whether it's labor unions, Viscardi Center, et cetera.
Nationals on board,
What's that?
the National Community College Board.
Yes,
itself.
yeah, their own board also. And I think the point is, obviously, she's done a lot of good in a short amount of time in terms of, elevating the programs and stature of Nassau Community College. And I think that's an important pipeline. I mean, herself, she's a graduate with an associate's degree, and that brought her onto a path of further and higher education. So it can be very easily a stepping stone to, more accreditations and higher learning so that you can advance your career. And so what I was wondering is if the board's okay with me drafting a letter from the Plainage School Board in support of SUNY reevaluating their decision to appoint her as president permanently, not on a temporary basis.
I'm for it.
I'm for that, yeah. If the Nassau Community College Board appointed her and SUNY's not letting it happen, I think, something's wrong with that. So I saw all those letters of support from the Children's Museum and
Long Island Children's
Viscardi, so she's doing good things.
Yep.
I don't know why we would hinder that.
All right, so I'll draft that and I'll circulate that to the board, and then let me know if you have any comments on the letter once it goes around. I'll pull the board on it.
Yeah, I think it's the right thing to do. So we can give her a little support from Plainage, it'd be great.
Sounds good. All right, thank you. If there's nothing else, I'm going to move on to informational reports. Are there any questions on the informational reports? No? Okay. Sorry. Opportunity for public comment. All comments are directed to the Board of Education President. We ask that each speaker please limit your time to 2 minutes in total. And we ask that you please use the microphone and state your name clearly. It's open.
Thank you. Thanks, Joe. I'd like to talk about, I know you went to the seniors, a lot of my friends were very excited that you were there. And the Brian Moore night. Our teachers were there, and does anybody know anything about the Disney characters? What is it? Iola. There's a very popular Disney character. My granddaughter was coming in on Saturday, so I bought her a 4-foot character of this Disney character. I bought her a book of the character. What else did I buy? Something else with the character. And I give her all these things, I'm excited. And she sees something that I brought home from the Brian Moore that the teachers gave. It was a blue pull-out thing with the light on. She totally disregarded all the gifts. I'm telling you, it was amazing. Open, close, light, it was fun. Thank you, Perry, for being there. I want to thank the fire department for being there. Ralph Raymond and the fire department, Mr. Saladino and all his people. It was cold that night. And every year I get emotional when the Best Buddies come up. They are great. I don't know who runs the Best Buddies, but whoever does that did a terrific, terrific job. I see a little water, excuse me. I might run a little over 2 minutes.
We put that suit on, we gotta let you go.
I told Joe I wanted to put this suit on to show my respect to all of the board members and our superintendent for all the time that you guys devote. A lot of times I don't agree with policies, but you volunteer your time, and I admire that. And I have a pizza shop, as everybody knows, and we do a lot of fundraisers. And Frank's Pizza, Vincent's Pizza, we're all friends. We're always doing fundraisers for the school. So about 10 years ago, one of the PTA moms from John West comes up, do you mind if we do a fundraiser? No problem. What can we do? We'll donate $5 to every pie that you bring in. And usually we sell maybe 20, 25 pies. There's not that much interest in it. So it was a Thursday, it started at 4 o'clock, and people started flowing in, and flowing in. Kids that were at West, their parents, kids that were in junior high and high school. They were all there because I ran maybe 100 fundraisers. They were there because our principal of the school, Carol Muscarella, came there at 4 o'clock, stayed the whole fundraiser, and it was an amazing, amazing fundraiser. And I got a little jelly. Everybody loved her. Do you remember that, Carol? Everybody it was unbelievable. I mean, there was hundreds of people there. And one of the mothers goes up to me, and I go, she's like a rock star. She goes, not only that, she knows every student's first and last name. I go, wow. It's pretty cool, Carol.
And that was the night we discovered that the new pizza with the hole in the middle was named after me.
You did it all. And everything you do with passion. Maybe a school teacher, principal, you do it, and you do it right.
Thank you.
And I thank you and a lot of my friends, seniors in the community, thank you for stepping up and give us, as Joe said, stability during this whole thing that's going on.
Thank you.
And you're doing above and beyond it, and we appreciate you, we love you.
Thank you.
And, I speak to, I don't know how long it's been, 2 or 3 months since, whatever it's been, but we're here now. And everybody I speak to, a lot of people I speak to, they say, tell your friends and everybody to slow down, slow down. We know Carol. We know where she's from, what she's capable. Give it time so we make the right choice, because we have the right person in there. Mother of 3, grandmother of 7. She's a people person. She can make it happen. And as far as I'm concerned, even if you get a superintendent, she should be on the advisory board of some part of it. So that's the recommendation I'm making.
Thank you, and thank you for the pizza making lessons. There you go.
I wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Joe.
Happy, healthy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else would like to come up for public comment?
Yes.
Please.
My name is Marion Carnisi, and I've been in Plainage for 46 years. I just have a follow-up question. You talked about the new superintendent and the plan and how things are moving along. When do you plan to put the new superintendent in place? Would that be for the new school year? Are you planning July 1?
That is the plan,
July.
is July 1st.
Okay.
It's not, it was easy. Anyone else? No? Okay. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Do I have someone to second? Mr. Morrissey, all in favor? All in favor.
Motion passed.
Thank you.